Get out. You're no daughter of mine." My father's words echoed through our marble foyer, his face contorted with anger I'd never seen before. I stood there, clutching my laptop bag, watching as Sarah, his new wife of 6 months, smirked behind him. "My name is Alexandra Pierce, and at 18, I was being thrown out of my childhood home by the man who once promised to always protect me. The same man who taught me to ride a bike, who cried at my middle school graduation, who held me through Mom's funeral just 3 years ago." "Dad, please," I whispered, my voice breaking. "This is my home too." "Mom Woldvey. Don't you dare mention your mother." Sarah cut in, her perfectly manicured hand gripping my father's arm. "James, she's been nothing but disrespectful since our wedding. Always bringing up the past, questioning our decisions about the house renovations, the family business." I wanted to scream that removing every trace of my mother from our home wasn't a renovation, that pushing me out of Pierce Technologies, the company my parents built together, wasn't a business decision. But the words stuck in my throat as I watched my father nod along with every poisonous word Sarah spoke. "Your mother's gone, Alexandra," he said, his voice cold. "It's time you accepted that things change. Sarah's right, you've been impossible to live with. If you can't respect my new wife and our decisions, then you need to leave." I looked around the foyer, barely recognizing it anymore. The warm yellow walls my mother had loved were now a stark white. Her collection of family photos replaced by modern art pieces Sarah had chosen. Even the ancient oak table where Mom used to help me with my homework was gone, replaced by some minimalist console that looked like it belonged in a museum. "Fine," I said, straightening my spine. "I'll go, but remember this moment, Dad. Remember you chose her over your own daughter." Sarah's triumphant smile made my stomach turn. "James, darling, we should change the security codes. And maybe call our lawyer about removing her from the company trust." My father didn't even look at me as he nodded. "Already done. Alexandra, you have an hour to pack your things. Anything left behind will be donated." I climbed the stairs to my bedroom, each step feeling heavier than the last. My room was one of the few spaces Sarah hadn't modernized yet, though I'd heard them discussing plans to turn it into a yoga studio. I grabbed my suitcase from under the bed and started packing methodically. Clothes, important documents, my mother's jewelry that I'd hidden in a false bottom of my desk drawer. As I packed, my phone buzzed with a text from Marcus, my best friend since kindergarten. "How bad was it? Do you need me to come get you?" I told him about the ultimatum Sarah had given my father last night. Either I go, or she would. I never thought Dad would actually choose her. "It's done," I texted back. "Can I crash at your place for a few days?" His response was immediate. "Already setting up the guest room. Mom's making your favorite lasagna." At least someone still cared. I took one last look around my room, my eyes landing on the photo on my nightstand. Mom, Dad, and me at my 16th birthday. All of us laughing as I tried to blow out trick candles that kept relighting. We looked so happy, so complete. That was before Mom's cancer diagnosis, before the treatments that drained our hope along with her strength, before Sarah swooped in to console my grieving father. A knock at my door made me jump. "Your hour's almost up," Sarah called, not bothering to hide the satisfaction in her voice. I grabbed my suitcase and laptop bag, taking one last look at my childhood bedroom. On my desk sat the business plan I'd been working on for months, my vision for modernizing Pierce Technology's software division. Dad hadn't even looked at it when I tried to show him last week. "Sarah thinks we should stick to hardware," he'd said dismissively. Fine. If they didn't want my ideas, I'd build something of my own. Marcus was waiting outside in his beat-up Corolla when I walked out. I didn't look back as I loaded my suitcase into his trunk, didn't acknowledge Sarah watching from the window, didn't give my father the satisfaction of seeing me cry. "You okay?" Marcus asked as we pulled away from the mansion I'd called home for 18 years. "No," I admitted, finally letting the tears fall. "But I will be." That night, lying on the Murphy bed in Marcus's family's guest room, I opened my laptop and pulled up my business plan. The core idea was solid. A platform that would revolutionize how small businesses handled their cybersecurity needs. Pierce Technologies had always focused on big corporate clients, ignoring the massive untapped market of smaller companies who couldn't afford enterprise-level solutions. I worked through the night, fueled by a mixture of anger, determination, and Mrs. Chen's incredible lasagna. By morning, I had registered my own company, Phoenix Security Solutions. The irony of the name wasn't lost on me, rising from the ashes of my old life to build something new. The next few months were a blur of couch surfing, part-time jobs, and endless coding sessions. I taught myself programming at 13, much to my mother's delight. "The future is digital, sweetheart," she'd said, buying me my first laptop. Never stop learning. Marcus stuck by me, letting me use his family's garage as my office when I wasn't working my barista shifts at the local coffee shop. His mother, Ellen, kept me fed and refused to accept rent money, saying I needed to put everything into my business. "Your mother was my best friend," she told me one evening, watching me work. "She'd be so proud of you, Alexandra, and so angry at your father." 6 months after being kicked out, I launched the beta version of my security software. It wasn't perfect, but it worked. I designed it to be simple enough for small business owners to understand but sophisticated enough to provide real protection. The coffee shop where I worked became my first client. Word spread quickly in our small business district. The flower shop next door signed up, then the bookstore across the street. Each new client helped me refine the software, make it better, more user-friendly. 1 year after my father threw me out, Phoenix Security Solutions had 50 clients and was turning a small profit. I moved into my own tiny apartment, though I still had dinner with the Chens twice a week. I saw my father exactly once during that first year. He was leaving an upscale restaurant with Sarah, both of them dressed for what was probably another charity gala. I was heading to my evening shift at the coffee shop, wearing my barista apron and comfortable sneakers. Our eyes met for a brief moment before he looked away, ushering Sarah to their waiting Tesla. That night, I added a new feature to my software, a sophisticated anti-theft system that would have prevented the exact type of corporate espionage that had cost Pierce Technologies millions last quarter. I'd read of their security breach in the tech blogs, seen their stock price take a hit. Part of me wanted to reach out, show them what they'd missed out on by pushing me away, but a stronger part knew I needed to focus on my own path. Phoenix was growing faster than I could handle alone. I needed to hire help, expand our services. Marcus, who'd just finished his business degree, joined as my CFO. "Someone needs to handle the money while you're busy being a tech genius," he said with a grin. 2 years after being disowned, Phoenix Security Solutions had 20 employees and offices in a converted warehouse downtown. Our client list had grown to over 500 businesses across 3 states. The software had evolved into a comprehensive security suite, with features our larger competitors scrambled to copy. I was in a meeting with potential investors when I saw the news alert on my phone. Pierce Technologies announces layoffs amid declining revenue. The article mentioned outdated products, failure to adapt to market changes, and increasing competition from newer, more innovative companies. That evening, as I worked late in my office, my phone rang with an unknown number. I almost didn't answer, but something made me pick up. "Alexandra." It was my father's executive assistant, Linda. She'd been with the company since I was a child. "I know I shouldn't be calling, but things are bad here. Sarah's convinced your father to sell off the software division entirely. The board is in chaos. I thought you should know." I thanked her for the information, then sat in silence for a long time, staring at the framed photo on my desk, Mom and me in her office at Pierce Technologies, both of us grinning as I sat in her chair pretending to be the boss. "Watch this space, Mom," I whispered. "I'm just getting started." The next morning, I called an emergency meeting with my executive team. "We're going to need more servers," I announced. "A lot more. It's time for Phoenix to spread its wings." 3 years into running Phoenix Security Solutions, I received an invitation that made my heart stop. Tech Innovation Awards. Rising Star category nominee. My company was being recognized as one of the fastest-growing cybersecurity firms in the country. The irony wasn't lost on me. The awards ceremony would be held at the same hotel where Pierce Technologies had celebrated its 20th anniversary, the last event I'd attended with both my parents before Mom got sick. "You have to go," Marcus insisted, waving the invitation in my face. "This is huge, Alex, national recognition." Plus, he added with a sly grin, "Pierce Technologies always attends these events." I smoothed down my blazer, studying my reflection in my office window. At 21, I was running a company valued at over $50 million. The scared teenager my father had thrown out was gone, replaced by someone stronger, more determined. "Book the tickets," I said. The night of the ceremony, I chose my outfit carefully, a black designer suit that projected confidence and success, paired with my mother's sapphire pendant. My hair, which Sarah had always criticized as too wild, was styled in elegant waves. The hotel ballroom was packed with tech industry elite. I spotted my father and Sarah almost immediately. They were seated near the front, as befitting one of the industry's oldest companies, though not at the premier table they'd occupied in previous years. I was led to a table with other nominees, acutely aware of the whispers following me. At 21, I was the youngest nominee in the ceremony's history. The fact that I was a woman in a male-dominated industry only added to the intrigue. And now, the announcer's voice boomed for the Rising Star Award, recognizing innovation and exceptional growth in the technology sector. I felt the weight of hundreds of eyes as my company's logo appeared on the giant screens. The promotional video played, showcasing Phoenix's revolutionary approach to small business cybersecurity. The winner is Phoenix Security Solutions, founded by Alexandra Pierce. The applause was thunderous. As I walked to the stage, I caught a glimpse of my father's face, shock, recognition, and something else I couldn't quite read. Sarah's perfectly composed smile had slipped completely. "Thank you." I began my speech, my voice steady. When I started Phoenix 3 years ago, I had nothing but a laptop and a dream. But I also had something more valuable: the lessons my mother taught me about innovation, determination, and never letting anyone define your worth. I saw my father flinch at the mention of Mom. To every small business owner who trusted us with their security, thank you. To my incredible team who believed in our vision, thank you. And to those who said I couldn't do it, I paused, allowing myself a small smile. Thank you for giving me the motivation to prove you wrong. The after-party was a blur of congratulations and business cards. Potential investors circled like sharks, eager to get in on Phoenix's next funding round. I handled each conversation with the poise Mom had taught me, the business acumen I'd inherited from both my parents evident in every word. Alexandra. I turned to find my father standing there, looking older than I remembered. Sarah was notably absent. "Congratulations," he said stiffly. "Your company, it's impressive." "Thank you," I replied, keeping my tone professional. "If you'll excuse me, I see some investors waiting." "Wait," he reached for my arm, but stopped short. We should talk. About everything." I looked at him, really looked at him, for the first time in 3 years. His hair had more gray, his face more lines. Pierce Technology's struggles had clearly taken their toll. "I have a board meeting tomorrow morning," I said. "But I'm free for lunch next week. My assistant will contact yours with the details." I turned and walked away, head high, feeling lighter than I had in years. The frightened teenager who'd been thrown out of her home was gone. In her place stood a woman who'd built something remarkable, something even her father had to acknowledge. Later that night, back in my penthouse apartment, I opened my laptop and pulled up Phoenix's latest acquisition report. Our aggressive expansion into the enterprise market was proceeding ahead of schedule. Within 6 months, we'd be direct competitors with Pierce Technologies in their core market. My phone buzzed with a text from Marcus. "You crushed it tonight, boss. Your mom would be so proud." I touched the sapphire pendant at my neck, remembering Mom's words from long ago. "Success isn't about proving others wrong, sweetheart. It's about proving yourself right." She was right, as always. Tonight wasn't about revenge or vindication. It was about honoring her legacy by building something meaningful, something that helped others protect what they built. I opened my email to find hundreds of congratulatory messages, including one from Linda, my father's executive assistant. "Your mother always said you'd change the world someday." She was right. Attached was a photo I'd never seen before. Mom in her office, holding a tiny me on her lap as I played with her keyboard. We were both laughing, caught in a moment of pure joy. I wiped away tears I hadn't realized were falling. Tomorrow, I'd go back to being the CEO of a rapidly growing tech company. I'd make decisions, lead meetings, and continue building Phoenix into something extraordinary. But tonight, I allowed myself to feel everything: the pain of rejection, the triumph of success, and the bittersweet knowledge that while I'd proven myself to the world, the cost had been my relationship with my father. The question was, could that relationship be rebuilt? And more importantly, did I want it to be? As I got ready for bed, my phone buzzed with another message. This one was from my father. "I'm sorry for everything. When you're ready, I'd like to explain. I set the phone down without responding. 3 years ago, those words would have meant everything. Now they were just words. If he wanted to repair our relationship, he'd have to prove it with actions. The view from my penthouse showed the city skyline, including the Pierce Technologies building, its logo glowing in the night. Soon, Phoenix's new headquarters would stand even taller, a testament to how far I'd come. But first, I had a lunch meeting to prepare for. Something told me it would be the most important meeting of my life. The day of my lunch meeting with my father arrived sooner than I expected. I chose Marcello's, an upscale Italian restaurant where my mother used to take me for special occasions. As I sat at the corner table, I could almost hear her laugh, see her gesturing animatedly as she explained her latest business idea. My father arrived precisely on time, looking uncomfortable in a way I'd never seen before. The confident CEO I remembered seemed diminished somehow. "Alexandra," he said, taking his seat. "Thank you for agreeing to meet." "Where's Sarah?" I asked, noting his bare ring finger. He flinched. "We're separated. Have been for 6 months now." She wasn't happy when Pierce Technology started struggling, when the board began questioning her influence on company decisions. I took a sip of water, letting the information sink in. "And now you want to talk." "I deserve that," he admitted. "I've made terrible mistakes, Alexandra. Unforgivable ones. Watching you accept that award, seeing everything you've built, it made me realize how blind I've been." The waiter arrived to take our orders. I chose Mom's favorite, mushroom risotto. My father ordered the same, a detail that didn't escape my notice. "Phoenix is remarkable," he continued once we were alone. "Your mother would be so proud. I should have been proud too, should have supported you instead of throwing me out," I finished. "Instead of letting your wife erase every trace of Mom from our home. Instead of dismissing my ideas because Sarah thought she knew better." He looked down at his hands. "Sarah, she made me think I needed to move on completely. That keeping your mother's memory alive was holding us back. I was so lost after your mother died, and Sarah seemed to have all the answers. Mom's death hurt me too," I said quietly. "I needed my father. Instead, I got a stranger who chose his new wife over his daughter." Our food arrived, but neither of us touched it. "The board is pushing for new leadership at Pierce Technologies," he said finally. "We've fallen behind, lost market share. Your security software. It's exactly what we needed 3 years ago. What you tried to show me before you kicked me out," I finished. "Is that what this is about? You've seen my success, and now you want to what? Partner with Phoenix? Have me save Pierce Technologies?" "No," he said quickly. "Well, yes, the board has suggested reaching out about a potential collaboration. But that's not why I wanted to meet. I needed to apologize. To try to explain, even though there's no explanation that could justify what I did." I studied him carefully. The arrogance was gone, replaced by something that looked like genuine remorse. "Tell me about Sarah," I said. "The real story." He sighed heavily. "She's been having an affair with one of our major shareholders. Has been for at least a year. All those changes she pushed for at the company, they benefited his investments. I was too blind to see it. And our house, Mom's things. In storage," he admitted. After Sarah left, I couldn't look at what she'd done to the place. Your mother's collections, her photos. I saved everything. I felt tears threatening but held them back. "Why didn't you fight for me? When Sarah gave you that ultimatum, why did you choose her?" "Because I was a coward," he said simply. "Because facing you meant facing my grief over your mother. And Sarah made it easy to pretend everything was fine if we just started fresh. I know now that I wasn't starting fresh. I was running away. From my pain, from my responsibilities, from the daughter who reminded me so much of her mother." I finally took a bite of my risotto, letting the familiar flavors ground me. "Pierce Technologies was Mom's dream too," I said. "She would be heartbroken to see what's happened to it." "I know," he whispered. "That's part of why I wanted to meet. The board is voting next week on new leadership. I'm stepping down as CEO. I'd like to recommend you for the position." I nearly choked on my water. "What?" "Phoenix has proven you're more than capable. The board has already expressed interest. It would be a merger, not a takeover. Phoenix Security would become a division of Pierce Technologies, but with you at the helm of everything." I sat back stunned. "You're serious?" "Completely. It's time for new blood, new ideas. You were right 3 years ago. We needed to adapt, to innovate. You've proven you know how to do that. And if I say no? He met my eyes steadily. Then I'll respect your decision. This isn't conditional, Alexandra. My apology, my regret, they have nothing to do with business. I've missed my daughter. Watching you accept that award, seeing the amazing woman you've become despite my failures as a father. I just want a chance to be part of your life again. On your terms. I looked at him for a long moment, seeing beyond the powerful CEO, beyond the grieving widower who'd made terrible choices. I saw my dad. Flawed, human, but finally honest. I'll think about it, I said. Both things. The company and the other stuff. I need time. He nodded, relief visible on his face. Take all the time you need. I'm not going anywhere this time. As we finished our lunch, he pulled out his phone and showed me pictures, Mom's things in climate-controlled storage, carefully preserved. Whatever you want to do with it, it's all yours. The house too, if you want it. Sarah's gone, and I've been staying in a hotel. It should be yours. I thought about that house, about the memories it held. Maybe, I said. But first, tell me about Pierce Technologies' current security protocols. If I'm going to consider this merger, I need to know exactly what I'm dealing with. For the first time in years, I saw my father smile, really smile. Always the businesswoman, he said proudly, just like your mother. 1 month after that fateful lunch meeting, I stood in front of Pierce Technologies' board of directors, presenting my vision for the merged companies. The room was filled with the same executives who had dismissed my ideas 3 years ago. Now they hung on every word. Phoenix Security Solutions has revolutionized cybersecurity for small businesses, I began, standing confident in my mother's old boardroom. Now, imagine combining that innovation with Pierce Technologies' enterprise infrastructure. We wouldn't just be competing in the market, we'd be redefining it. The presentation lasted 2 hours. I outlined my plans for restructuring, modernization, and expansion. This wasn't just about saving Pierce Technologies anymore. It was about creating something unprecedented in the industry. Any questions? I asked, concluding my presentation. The board chairman, Mr. Harrison, who'd known my mother for 20 years, spoke first. I think I speak for everyone when I say this is exactly what Pierce Technologies needs. The vote is unanimous. Welcome home, CEO Pierce. The news of the merger sent shockwaves through the tech industry. Phoenix rising. How Alexandra Pierce reclaimed her family legacy, read the headlines. Business magazines clamored for interviews, wanting to tell the story of the daughter who'd been cast out only to return triumphant. But I had more important things to focus on. The merger wasn't just about business, it was about healing, about honoring my mother's legacy while building something new. My first official act as CEO was to rename the company Pierce Phoenix Technologies, combining both legacies. The second was to restore my mother's old office to its former state, bringing her photos and awards out of storage. She would have loved this, my father said, helping me hang her favorite painting, a phoenix rising from flames, which had inspired my company's name. The merger, the modernization, all of it. Our relationship was still fragile, but we were both trying. He'd started therapy to deal with his grief over Mom and his guilt about Sarah. I'd begun sharing Sunday dinners with him, slowly rebuilding trust through honest conversations about both business and family. Marcus, now our CFO, watched the transformation with pride. You've done the impossible, he said one evening as we surveyed the city from our new headquarters. You've not only saved your family's company, but made it better than ever. The merged company flourished. Our small business division, still branded as Phoenix Security, continued to grow while our enterprise solutions, enhanced with Phoenix's innovative technology, regained market dominance. 6 months after the merger, I received another invitation, this time to give the commencement speech at my old university's business school. Standing at the podium, I looked out at the sea of eager faces and thought about everything that had brought me to this moment. Success isn't a straight line, I told them. Sometimes the biggest setbacks lead to the greatest opportunities. 3 years ago, I lost everything, my home, my family, my inheritance. But I had something more valuable, determination, vision, and the lessons my mother taught me about never giving up. In the audience, I could see my father wiping away tears. Today, I run a company worth billions, but that's not what makes me successful. Success is about staying true to your values, about building something meaningful, about turning pain into purpose. Sometimes you have to lose everything to find out what you're truly capable of. The applause was deafening, but I barely heard it. My eyes were fixed on the back of the auditorium, where a giant screen displayed my mother's favorite quote, the same one that now hung in the lobby of Pierce Phoenix Technologies. From the ashes of adversity rise the phoenixes of our greatest triumphs. After the ceremony, my father approached me with a small package. "I found this in your mother's things," he said softly. "She meant to give it to you when you joined the company." Inside was a leather-bound journal, my mother's business diary. On the first page, she'd written, "For Alexandra, who will take everything we built and make it soar even higher. Never let anyone clip your wings, my darling Phoenix." That evening, I hosted a dinner at our old house, which I'd spent months restoring to its former warmth. The guests included Marcus and his family, key members of both original companies, and my father. The walls once again displayed our family photos, including new ones of the merged company's success. "A toast," my father proposed, raising his glass. "To Alexandra, who taught me that true strength isn't about holding on to power, but about having the wisdom to know when to let someone else lead. To my daughter, who didn't just save our company, she saved our family." I looked around the table at these people who had become my extended family, at the house that was once again a home, at my father who was working hard to earn back his place in my life. Success had many definitions, I realized. Building a billion-dollar company was one kind. Rebuilding broken relationships was another. Later that night, alone in my mother's restored garden, I opened her journal and began to read. Her words, her wisdom, her love poured from every page. One passage particularly caught my eye. "Business is about more than profit, Alexandra. It's about legacy, about creating something that outlives us, about using our success to lift others up. You have always been my greatest legacy, my darling. Everything else is just details." I touched the Phoenix pendant I always wore, a gift from the board to celebrate the merger, and smiled. From the ashes of rejection, I had built something extraordinary, not just a successful company, but a life filled with purpose, with reconciliation, with love. The merger had made headlines, but the real story wasn't about business at all. It was about forgiveness, about growth, about the power of staying true to yourself, even when others doubt you. It was about a daughter who lost everything but never lost herself, who built her own wings when others tried to clip them. Pierce Phoenix Technologies would continue to grow and evolve. My father and I would continue to rebuild our relationship one Sunday dinner at a time. The wounds of the past would heal, leaving scars that reminded us of how far we'd come. But sitting in that garden, reading my mother's words, I knew that success wasn't in the destination. It was in the journey. In the strength we find when we're tested, in the wisdom we gain from our failures, in the love that survives even our greatest mistakes. The phoenix had risen, and this was just the beginning.